Hey guys, it's Hannah, and today I have my August wrap-up and September TBR. Again, it just makes me really sad that I'm already doing this. That means summer is like officially over. It's very depressing. I think it's safe to say that I'm pretty much out of my reading slump. I ended up reading 6 books this month, and I'm currently reading 2 books, so you can maybe say like 6.5. However you want to put that. But yeah, so much better than what I've been doing the past few months. So let's get into them. The first book I read in August was Cress by Marissa Meyer. This book, if you saw my end of summer book tag, I'll link it down below, was like my favorite book I read this summer. It was so amazing. It's the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles. You know what the Lunar Chronicles is about. A, have you been living under a rock? B, the first book in the Lunar Chronicles, Cinder, is a retelling of Cinderella where Cinderella is a cyborg. And then in each book in the series she adds in another retelling. So in the 2nd book, Scarlet, she adds in a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, and then in this 3rd book, Cress, she adds in a retelling of Rapunzel. And Cress is definitely my favorite because it added all these characters together, and it was the best. Honestly, my favorite part about her series are her characters, because her characters are just so freaking amazing. They're so great. This is one of those books that I can't even like just form thoughts around it because I'm just like, it's so good. It's one of those kind of books where you love it so much all you can do is gush about it. Yeah, love the characters, love the plot. I love it. I love it. Second book I read in the month of August was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is the 8th book in the Harry Potter series. And I really enjoyed this book, although it did annoy me a lot. This book follows Harry's son Albus and his adventures. The main thing that annoyed me about this book is the fact that Albus is definitely not a Ravenclaw. He never thought about what he was doing. He just like acted on impulse. And it annoyed me to no end because the whole time I'm thinking, how stupid can you be? But overall I did really enjoy the book. It was a really good book. My favorite part about the book by far was Scorpius Malfoy. As y'all know, I love him so much. He's so freaking adorable. I love him. Honestly, he's what made the book for me. It took me so long to read. My friend read it in like a day, and I read it in like 5 or 6 days because I couldn't bear to read it. I kept putting it off. Like I don't need that kind of anxiety and stress in my life right now, so I kept putting it off to read it because it was so stressful for me. I recommend you go ahead and read it. Really good book. I really enjoyed it. Scorpius Malfoy is the best. Obviously, it has its problems, but I enjoyed it. The 3rd book I read in the month of August was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This was actually a reread for me because you all know that I love Pride and Prejudice. And Zoe from Read by Zoe on YouTube started a book club called the Ostentatious Book Club where we are going to be reading all of the Jane Austen books. And Pride and Prejudice was a reread for me, but a very fun, amazing reread because I love that book. I love it so much. It's just such a great book. Jane Austen is so good at making great and lovable characters, and then characters that you love and characters that you hate. She's just so amazing at that. And if you want to join the Ostentatious Book Club, I'll leave the link to Zoe's video talking about it down below, so you can go check that out. I think the next book is Persuasion, which I actually won't be rereading because I read it recent enough that I'm not going to go ahead and reread it now. I'll be doing it on like the discussions and stuff, but I won't actually be rereading it. Just so y'all know. The next 2 books I'm going to lump together, and those are Theodore Boone, Kid Lawyer, and Theodore Boone, The Abduction. These, as you can tell because it's in nice big letters, are both by John Grisham, and they are a series about a kid whose parents are both lawyers, and he wants to be a lawyer or a judge. He hasn't decided yet. He's only 13 though, so he has plenty of time to decide. It's just about him doing some kind of lawyer stuff. So in this first book, I won't really explain what happens in the 2nd book because, you know, it's the 2nd book. But in the 1st book, there is a big murder trial going on in the town, and it's kind of like a smaller town, so it's big news. There's a murder trial going on. In some way, somehow, for some reason, Theodore gets sucked into the middle of it. And I thought they were good books. They're nice, quick reads. They're enjoyable. I read both of these in one day, so I read this one day, read that one the next day. They're just nice, quick reads. They're good reads. They're fun reads. Highly enjoyable. I would recommend it. The final book I read in the month of August was actually a read-aloud, and that is Swallowed in Amazons by Arthur Ransom. This book is a fairly old book. It's a children's classic, I would say. That's kind of where I'd classify it. And it's about a group of 4 children who live near, I guess, the lake or an ocean. I'm not quite sure what body of water it was. I don't remember. But they live by the water, and they have a boat. And they take that boat, and they sail around the lake, and then they camp out on an island in the middle of their lake or ocean or whatever it is. And it's about their adventures on the lake and their adventures with pirates and other kids who also are rambunctious and sail around the lake on their boat. If you can tell by the way I'm talking about it, it was not my favorite book. It was a very good book, but I didn't enjoy it at this point in my life. I feel like if I had read it when I was younger, I would have loved it, but at this point I'm just kind of like, this is a little bit childish for me, if I'm being honest. It's just not my cup of tea anymore. It kind of gave me a Boxcar Children vibe, so if you really liked those books as a kid, then you'd probably like it. So I loved Boxcar Children's, and so it was kind of like a nice little memory of it. It was like Boxcar Children's for the next level of a reader. So again, it was a really good book. I just didn't enjoy it as much because I'm older now, but if I'd read it when I was younger, I would have freaking loved it. So just keep that in mind. Alright, now we're on to the TBR. So the first book I want to finish in the month of September is actually one that I'm currently reading, so it probably will be the first book I finish in the month of September. And that is The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson. This is the third and final book in the Remnant Chronicles series by Mary E. Pearson, which I love, if y'all know. The first book in the Remnant Chronicles is called The Kiss of Deception, and it is about a princess who's betrothed to marry someone who she doesn't even know. And she decides instead of marrying him, which is something she does not want to do, she's going to just run away. So she does run away, and eventually two people find her. One is the prince who was supposed to marry her, and the other one is an assassin who's supposed to kill her. And you don't know who's who. Seriously, an amazing book. The first book was amazing, the second book was amazing, this third book is amazing so far, although it is almost 700 freaking pages, so it's also a very long book. The next book is another one that I'm currently reading, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker, Annotations by Mort Castle. I say that because the annotations in this are freaking amazing. And this is actually my school book, and so I have to read it for school, but I picked to read it, so it's also a fun book, and I'm freaking loving it. I've decided that I like the kind of creepy classics, and I've been kind of gradually getting my way into them, because the first thing I read was Jane Eyre, which, you know, has that very slight creepy vibe. It's not, like, really creepy, but it has kind of, like, that eeriness about it. And then I read Frankenstein, which had a little more eeriness, and I loved that book. And I'm reading this, and this has even more eeriness than Frankenstein, and I'm loving this book so much so far. I am, we'll say 50% done-ish. With this book, I do have a schedule of how many chapters I read per day, and so I know I will finish this by the end of the week. Really enjoying it. If you like kind of creepy stuff, then you will love this book. This book is making me strongly consider reading Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, because I've heard it's more creepy than horror. I don't like horror. I don't like that, but I'm digging this creepiness going on. Let me know if you think I should read that series, because I'm really considering it. The next book on my TBR is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and the reason this is on there is I've been eyeing it for a long time, but I haven't been like, okay, I need to pick that up now. However, Leigh Bardugo is coming to the Texas Teen Book Festival. By the way, let me know if you're coming down below, because I'll be there. And since I have been eyeing it for a while, I decided, you know what? Let's read it. And actually, my friend has already read it, and she's going with me to the book festival. She has already read it and is completely freaking out about it. Like, honestly, I think if she saw a crow in the yard, she'd start hyperventilating because she loves it so much. So I'm pretty excited. Leslie, since I know you're watching this, I want to know, if you saw a crow somewhere, would you start freaking out because you love the book so much? Because I think you would. Really, all I know about this book is that it takes place in the same world as her Grisha trilogy did, but you don't have to read the Grisha trilogy to read this one, and I know it's about thieves and some kind of grand heist, which I'm excited for because I really like books revolving around thieves. Does that say something bad about me? I'm pumped. It's going to be what I read after I finish Beauty of Darkness. I'm excited. Now after those, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be reading, because there are more books from authors that'll be at the Texas Teen Book Festival that I want to read. I'm not sure which ones I'll try to cram in beforehand and which ones I won't. So I think I'm just going to kind of read y'all the list of the books that my friends and I are looking at to read. Yeah. Okay, so some books that we're looking at reading for the Texas Teen Book Festival. Again, probably will not get to them all. Probably most definitely will not get to them all. But they're what we're looking at. Every Hidden Thing by Kenneth Opel. The Last True Love Story by Brandon Kelly? I don't know. Steeplejack by A.J. Hartley. The Reader by Tracy Chee. And A Torch Against the Night by Saba Tahir. Out of those on the list, the two that I want to read the most are probably A Torch Against the Night and Steeplejack, and so if I read more before the festival, it'll probably be those two. And I feel the need to mention this because I started in August, but then I got the books that I'm trying to read in time for the book festival, which is October 1st, and so I only have like a month to do it. So I just push it to the side, and that is Theodore Boone, The Accused by John Grisham. This is the third book in the series. I literally read like 2 chapters, maybe 3, and then I got The Beauty of Darkness, and I was like, okay, let's just put this aside. So, I mean, if I finish all of those books, then this will be next in line, but that's probably not gonna happen. I just felt the need to mention it since I did start it. So that's it for this wrap-up in TBR. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know if you're going to be at the Texas Teen Book Festival, because I'll be there. Also, let me know how your month is going, how your reading is doing, how's school, are you enjoying it, or are you just kind of overwhelmed by it? So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all again in another one soon.